and welcome to the Nancy Drew Times during spooky season. I'm so excited to sit down and review another game with you guys. My name is Carter, and because it's spooky season, I was like, well, we gotta review some of the spooky games, right? But which one? Which game should we just kick it off with? And I thought none other than game number 11, Curse of Blackmoor Manor. Here are my thoughts. So first I want to talk about the setting and environment of Curse of Blackmoor Manor. Okay, so this one's a really good one to talk about with this game. Immediately, the game begins with, Nancy is taking, I guess, some kind of cab or taxi or some kind of ride and out to the manor. And, he's like, good night, miss, and she's opened up to this creepy, eerie iron gate that says Blackmoor Manor on it, and the gates, they creak open, and this really dramatic, long garden pathway at night that Nancy's, you just hear her footsteps, and they're walking, and she's walking, right? And she gets to the door, there's like this classic, door knocker on it, knock, 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 and she just hears this from the bushes, and it's some kind of creature or something. We don't know. I thought it was a raccoon. I didn't know what it was, but Nancy, she's the girl in the movie where you're like, don't go in that door, and she opens that door. So she turns around, and boom shakalaka, there's some red eyes, and they're just looking at Nancy, and Nancy's like, I see something over there. And Mr. is like, where, child? Where? Thank you. Please hire me for all your impression needs. I am so great at it. And Nancy's like, over there. And the eyes have disappeared. What a great introduction to a game. I mean, if every game could be like that, am I right? The suspense is there. It's thrilling. It's awesome. It is what a game should. It's automatically setting the atmosphere, the feeling, the environment that you're about to experience at this manor. The fact that there's the unknown, it's dark, you hear sound effects and things like that's the first 60 seconds of the game. That is perfect, because you want a game where you don't feel like you already want to exit in the first 5 minutes, right? You're already set. You want to know what's going to happen. What is this creature? What's going on? What in the world is happening, right? So setting an environment just right off the bat is already doing such a good job. But furthermore, I shared this post a long time ago. I'll put it on the screen. It was a post that I found somewhere on the internet a long time ago. And I shared it because it is incredible to me the ability that this team, Her Interactive, was able to achieve in 2004. I mean, they were really able to create something from this manor, Blackmoor Manor. Every room and every environment is so tasteful in how it was created. The colors that they used were so vibrant, and everything was done just so well. But this picture right here is actually a collage of the conservatory, and I shared it, and I was like, can we for a second just talk about that this is 2004, and look how amazing just this is. I mean, I can just look at this collage of pictures and I just feel something from it. I'm like, oh, I just love this conservatory. I want to explore more of this conservatory. Every inch of Blackmoor Manor is just so well done. And I love that this manor, just like any manor that we would wish and hope would be, has tons of secret passageways and secret passageways. Like, not just one. There's the East Hall and the West Hall and the left and right and North and South Hall. Every hall there is a passageway, right? Pillars are opening up, and we got slides over here in the wall, and ghosts over here, and stairs that go bling, whoop, bang, bang. All that, right? And that's what makes it so wonderful, is everywhere you go, there is a secret to be told at Curse of Blackmoor Manor. It's perfect. There's so much to dive into with Curse of Blackmoor Manor. every room. I love the library. It's, when actually I was playing this game not too long ago, and I remember I was walking around the library and the, Great Hall and where the pillars are, and you can see the floor. This is a marble floor with all these colors. The floor is actually reflective, and I could see some of the reflection of the ceiling and part of the pillars, and I was like, this, again, 2004 here, folks. Like, it's so good. It is so good. I want to mention that I especially love Nancy's room in this game. Let me know if you'd like to see. I would actually really love to create a video where I do a ranking of Nancy Drew's rooms that she stays in, because I was thinking about, when I was playing this game, just how this room, out of all the rooms that Nancy stays in, is just the best one, because there are so many unique puzzles to solve in just this one space, and so much happens in the game from the room that Nancy's in. So it's wonderful. You got the secret passageways, which I have been more lost in those secret passageways than I have in my own life. That is the truth. Okay, everyone? Those passageways are difficult to navigate, but I mean, I think it just gives the player this idea that this manor is so big. I mean, I remember when I played the game for the first time, I was incredibly, young. I think I was 7, and there was no way I was going to solve those rooms by myself. I truly had to have some help from my mom. But I remember thinking, as my 7-year-old self, wow, this manor feels just so expansive. I mean, the passageway, every time you discover another passageway or another door that leads to somewhere, it truly feels like, my goodness, this place never ends. I mean, when you think about for just a second, without having to load to another screen or anything like that, you can travel all the way from Nancy's room to the entire other side of the manor where the East Hall is, using the dragon hands and turning them, and this secret passageway opens up, and going down, I think it's 20 clicks until you get to the very bottom with the door and the hatch. And even when you do get it open, you can still go all the way down, all deep into the passageways, all the way until you get to the porch. That is, I don't even know how many clicks that is, but I would love to know. I feel like that alone shows you how big the manor is. So the spaces and the atmosphere and vibes that we get from every room that you visit inside is so, it just puts you like you're there. And I would absolutely love to go to Blackmoor Manor. It would be so fun because, to actually see that in real life. I don't know why, I kind of get a little bit of some Harry Potter vibes from Curse of Blackmoor Manor. It kind of just feels that way to me. I guess because Harry Potter is similar in the sense that it has these, portraits and, pillars and great stairs and marble, and passageways open up and things happen and everything's magical. And it works. It's good. It's great. So setting an environment already kicks us off with a 5-star rating, because it is just so good and achieves everything it's supposed to as sets you forth into this game. So setting an environment could not be any more outstanding than what it already is. So next up, I want to talk about the game's characters. So first, I guess let's just kick it off and let's talk about Linda. So Linda is an interesting character, I think, because we never get to see Linda, but we know, the illusion is that she's there. She's behind this curtain. We see her shadow, we hear her voice, but we don't get to see her, physically and in person in the game. And I've actually heard a lot of people say, that that was just another way of her interactive saving animation, saving money on animation. They just put someone behind a curtain and stuff. And that is probably true. They probably did do that. But I think that this was probably the most perfect opportunity to have a character in this way. To have a character where they're hidden, but we still get to interact with them. Perfect. Because we, as the player, assume that Linda looks like a werewolf and that she's going under... Oh, what is that word again? meta, not metamorphosis. That's a caterpillar and a butterfly. No, lycanthropic metamorphosis. Is that it? Oh, someone help me. Is that it? I think that's it. Anyways, so we think she looks like a werewolf, and I guess maybe just not knowing, not being able to see her, but hearing her and her having these, constant, moments where she almost kind of snaps at Nancy, it's just terrifying. I don't know how else to explain it, The fact that at any point, my 7-year-old self thought that this curtain was just going to rip back and I'm going to see a wolf and she's going to, attack me because I set her off or something. I don't know. That's what I thought when I was 7. And I feel like you kind of get that kind of sense of danger and suspense throughout the entire time you interact with Linda because, again, you can't see her. She can't see you. It's just a whole game of I don't know. Everything's unknown. But that's so perfect for the vibe and the atmosphere for this game. So I think that in regards to not being able to see her, I think that was an excellent job, and Linda's overall character I think is well done, that we're not able to, really see her. It's great. So the next character, Jane Penvellin. This is the first time her interactive had a child character, and I think they tried a lot of first things in this game, and it worked. I think that having a child as a suspect and as an interactable character was very clever, and I enjoyed that a lot. It was a new pace, very different, and also got to kind of, thread in new character qualities that we weren't able to see in adults from other games. Like, Jane was able to kind of pester Nancy a little bit more about, hey, I want to play a game. Come on, play a game with me. Play a game, because that's more childlike than if an adult did that. If Brady Armstrong did that in Final Scene, that wouldn't match up, right? So they were able to kind of do that, and it was smart because that was their way of implementing mini games into the actual game itself. So you were able to squeeze in a good 5 to 6-ish mini games. Great, wonderful. I think that's the perfect way to do it. It almost feels more natural that those mini games made it in that way, instead of having this one random, just completely random mini game that makes no sense. That actually made more sense, that Jane would want to play games because she's bored from school. So I think her character is very believable as a child character, as the first child. Excellent job in how they threaded that into her character line. Then we have Mrs. Drake, and Mrs. Drake, she is such a character, I think, if anything, if we were to expect some kind of older lady that's watching the manor, that's tending to everything and making sure everything is proper and in its place and clean, we would think of Miss Drake. She definitely gives us that vibe, and I think her character is well done as well. She's got a little bit of a quirkiness to her, but still at the same time she's uniform, so that's really great. And then there's Nigel Mukherjee, and Nigel, although is not a pleasant character, you almost kind of like him because of how well done the character is. He's not funny, he's not really crazy or exciting, he's just really boring. And all he wants to do is share facts and factoids with Nancy of things he's read and all this history that he knows. And so he can almost kind of be a little stuck up, and that almost kind of that he knows more than Nancy. He kind of talks down to Nancy a little bit a few times, but what a sense of realism to this person, to this character. We can all see that being a real thing. So that personality in the game works really well. And then of course we have Ethel Bossany, and Ethel is just so scary and terrifying. I can't tell you how many times I've played Curse of Blackmoor Manor, and still to this day, it don't matter how many times I open that door, I already know. I tell myself, no, you know what? I go down that slide and I tell myself, no, now, Carter, look at me now, Carter. Ethel's gonna be at the bottom of the slide, so prepare yourself. And it doesn't matter. I'm still going to jump. I'm still going to be afraid. And she scares me to this day. So Ethel's character is so mysterious, and where is this lady coming from? Like, how does she even get to the manor? Does she drive? Does she bike? Does an Uber take her? I just want to know everything about Ethel's life and why she does what she does. She's just so mysterious that I love that they didn't answer any questions. They left the player guessing. It's wonderful that we have to kind of guess about that. It's just great. I think having her as a character is great because it really makes you feel like, is she hiding something? And then, of course, when we see that she does the ritual at night with Jane, I was like, oh, are you hiding? This is your secret? Gotcha. You're our culprit, all right? Ethel is the one. She's doing something crazy and weird, and it's her. She's the one that's werewolfing everybody. So they did a great job of implementing Ethel into making you feel like that she was the culprit, that she was the one that did it. So I love Ethel's character story. I love the mysteriousness that comes with her character. It's wonderful. And then, of course, our last character that we have, well, I guess our last physical character is Lulu. And, also another kind of new thing. I mean, I realized that this is kind of the only animal that I guess that talks on Earth. Are there other animals that can talk? I mean, there's huskies. Huskies can say, "I love you." Have y'all ever seen that Facebook video? There's a Facebook video, and I know there's a husky that says, "I love you." And other than that, I mean, I think parrots are the only ones that I know of that can talk. So what I'm saying is how awesome to implement a talking animal. I mean, yes, it's the only talking animal that exists, but again, something else that was new that they tried in Curse of Blackmoor Manor that worked. Lulu is an icon. All right, she is an icon. We all know her. We all love her, even when she's annoying, because she's just so wacky, crazy, and we love it. We just eat it right up. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've sat there doing the most mundane task. I'm reading a book, I'm sweeping, and all of a sudden I'm just like, pay no attention to the bird behind the curtain. She's just so quotable and lovable. So the fact that we got to, talk with an animal and interact with this animal a lot deeper than other animals in the games, wonderful. I mean, you just feel like I get to talk to so many people, and I mean, that's quite a few physical characters that we get to interact with. And even if we don't get to talk really much with Ethel, still, that's a lot of just characters. That's a lot of suspects to think about. So I love the huge cast of characters and just the differences in their personality. I mean, we are getting, mysterious, tutor lady that could totally be up to something. We're kind of getting annoying 12-year-old girl that just wants to play games, that just doesn't like being here. We've got Linda, who thinks she's maybe turning into some kind of werewolf, but we don't know, we can't see her, and she sometimes can get angry and snaps. And then we've got Mrs. Drake, who's just trying to keep the manor straight, and she's kind of wacky a little bit, and she's just wanting to get to the bottom of this. And we've got Nigel who's totally researching everything, kind of stuck up about his knowledge. I mean, there's just so many personality types all at one time, but it works so well together. It meshes so well together. And I think the more unique the personality is in comparison to the other personalities that we get, they all just kind of come together, they work together. That's when you really start to see, animosity between the characters. Like, if one character is stuck up, well, then another character can kind of talk about how that character's stuck up. So you see, with those differences in personalities, we're able to see, there's some turmoil here. There's a little bit of, back and forth between characters, and that makes it more real. The fact that Linda is a stepmom to Jane, well, then we get a little bit of interaction between Jane commenting on Linda and Linda commenting on Jane, and that just makes everything feel more real. So with this game, the characters are just absolutely incredible. I mean, fantastic. I think the casting of the characters, the set, and just overall characters together could not be better. So just like setting an environment, I would give this one the top score that I can give it. It is so good. good. So I came back to add another video onto the one that I just previously we just talked about, because I'm going to talk about the phone characters. Oh, there's so many good phone characters in this game, and they work really well together as well. I think probably the one that is the most realistic is the fact that we get to talk to Hugh Penvellin. It's great that we actually get to, talk to Linda and figure out her opinions, and talk to Jane and get her opinions, but then to even get to call Hugh Penvellin and just glue it all together is so good. It's so nice. Even if we don't get to see him, even though our conversations are very short and, it's very simple, it's great to be able to hear his point of view on everything as well. So I think that was an excellent character to have. The other phone character that we have that I think is just awesome is the pub. The pub that we get to talk with and figure out what we're going to eat. I think I'm trying to remember what his name, Tommy from the pub. It's great that we have room service in this game, and that at any point, we have to call room service, eat the food, and it's just so quirky to actually hear about, the dog's eye and Pinky and Perky. It's fun, and we can get to kind of dig into that, and that's really fun. We also get to talk to Paliki. Paliki is the lady that we call about the lycanthropic metamorphosis, I guess if I'm saying that right. And she's also another character that's so fun. I think in the game I can remember her being like, "Oh, are you talking about lycanthropic metamorphosis? Talk to me." And of course there's Miss Petrov, and she's the one that brings Nancy in for the mystery. But yeah, everything is just so well done with the characters, phone and physical. There's so many people to talk to. It really makes the game feel so expansive and big. So I think the characters, again, like I said before, so great. So next I want to talk about the story and mystery. So the story and mystery is a really good job as well. We talked about earlier with the setting environment, how the story just starts to reel you in with the whole introduction scene. It just makes you want to know more. And like a good story should, you read a couple pages, you should already be kind of hooked into it. You should want to know some more facts and details about it. I love that we're learning about family history, well, what happened back then? What's happening now? Family secrets between each other, and all of this it's really great. You want to know more. Now the overall mystery, okay, this is not like a classic mystery like, oh, someone, was murdered, or something was stolen, nothing like that. But I still think that the mystery itself is really, it works. It's really good. Because psychologically, we, as humans, we can be, trained to believe anything that we need to. And so, it's not far-fetched that someone can be, trained or pushed to think a certain way as far as believing that they are a werewolf or turning into one. So that is not far-fetched to me. There have been other mysteries within the game series where I was like, that as a mystery, I don't feel like it works. But this one, I still think it works. It may not be maybe the most exciting at first. Like if I told you, would you like to invest, this murder or this stolen thing? Or if I asked you, would you rather, investigate like someone thinks that they're turning into something? Probably I would go with the other one. Although werewolves totally sound cool, that totally does entice me. It's just that the classic mystery-ness, I make up words in videos, you guys know me by now, is not there as much as with the other one. Now, when it comes to, why the culprit did what they did and how that interweaves with the story, I think it's really believable. I could totally see that happening, someone like Jane, who is just not satisfied with being there at the manor, and desires her actual birth mom to be with her father still. I mean, that's hitting on a topic that I think a lot of people can relate to. And it's not far-fetched for a child to do something that made extreme measures to get their family back together again, to do what they need to do, to have it back how it was. So I think that the overall motive and the way that comes together with the mystery, it works. It all makes sense. I think from the outside you may look at the mystery and be like, the mystery just doesn't align or compare to like a classic storyline. But no, it really does. It really works, and everything works together well. And then of course, the ending sequence that we get is great too. I mean, we're getting to see it all come together real nicely with Nigel. He leaves because he's scared, and that's hilarious because he's been stuck up the whole game and just really trying to squeeze out the dirt on the Penvillen family so he can get some money off his memoirs of all of this family. We see that Jane is caught. Everything just comes back together, the way that it should in the end of the story. And Jane really learns her lesson. She does. She learns her lesson. And Nancy becomes the person that has to save Jane in the end. So the story itself, the overall mystery, I think it's there. I think it pulls you in from the beginning. You want to know more, and by the time you're invested in this game. So story and mystery, just another section of this game that, again, it excels in. So I give my highest regards to this category as well for Curse of Blackmoor Manor. Next on the list to talk about is the Culprit. So this is actually a new category that I've added. At first I had, in my first Nancy Drew game that I reviewed, Danger on Deception Island, I just had characters all lumped together. And I felt like after I uploaded another video where I actually ranked all the culprits from every Nancy Drew game. After I released that video, I felt like I needed to have this as a separate category because I realized how much that maybe the actual overall characters worked really well together, but the actual culprit wasn't as strong as the entirety of the cast of characters. So I felt like it needed its own category, so I've added it for this video and hopefully will for Dust in the future. But the culprit, Jane. Alright, so let's talk about Jane. Alright, Jane, I did not see that one coming. I suspected everybody else. Well, there was a point where a couple times where I maybe thought it was Jane, but I just didn't think. I was like, a child is not gonna do this. No, it's not gonna be the child. It's Ethel, she's got some kind of secrets. She's the one making Jane do this ritual in the middle of the night. Or it's Nigel, he's in it for the money. Or no, it's Mrs. Drake, she was trying to get the estate. I mean, there was just so much motive for so many other people. And although Jane also had motive, I really didn't see that one coming. I didn't expect it. So overall, to have a child as a culprit, well done. Well done, because that is just not what you think of when you think of a culprit. I don't feel like you would think normally so quickly that it's the child. So I think that was an excellent job because it was so unexpected. But the culprit herself, I mean, when I was making my, what do you rank, the culprits as, I had different tiers. I reviewed Jane and her motive, and I kind of just talked about her motive a little bit before, so I won't dive too much into it. But I mean, her motive is there. She is upset because she doesn't want to be at this manor. She has a new stepmom, and she just really wants her birth mom to be in her life, and she wants everything to go back to the way that it was. And that is not far-fetched for her to feel that way. So I feel like her motive it makes sense and it's there. I don't question it. I don't think that it doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense. I didn't give Jane the top tier in my rankings. I actually gave her the tier below the top tier, which that tier was called a motivated angry person. And the top tier was called a true villain. And the reason why I gave her that second tier is because I think her motivation to do what she did came from a pit of emotion, of strong emotion, you know, of anger, of I want things to be back the way that they were, and not really, you know, desiring to do true villain things, you know. It's not like she's out here trying to murder people or anything like that. I think in a very childlike way, she's just trying to do what she has to do to get, you know, back to how things were. You know, children will cry out for help in that way, and so I feel like her motive is just, it makes sense with her character alignment. So as a culprit, I think overall, maybe not, you know, when I look at a culprit and I look at you know, why do I love this culprit so much, I think I definitely do look at motive, but another thing I like to look at is just maybe what's their personality like. And Jane didn't really have, you know, this deep dark side, you know, inside of her, you know, even when, you know, yes, there was the ending and she's like, what is that, you know, a rock, I came all this way for a rock, you know. I think deep down Jane knew what she was doing was wrong, and so because, you know, it didn't really take her, there was no like this long elaborate drawn out like I did what I did because this and that and I feel this way and da da da. There really wasn't any of that. It was really just more of that this is what she was doing, you know. And then after she had that, you know, big giant metal thing fall on her, she quickly, like, she didn't take her long to realize she was wrong. So I just I can't really rank her at the top of the culprit, of the villain. And you know, when I think of my favorite culprits and villains, I think of the ones that are really evil, the ones that are just really out to do those evil things like kidnap or murder. And so I don't place Jane in a very high culprit category, but I still think that the elements of her being a child and that being unexpected do give her a lot of room to be a good culprit. So, in my opinion, she is not the greatest culprit we've seen, but she still ranks pretty good because the game itself is so well thought out. So that's my views on Jane being our culprit. Oh man, this next one just, it makes me dizzy just thinking about it. It's the puzzles of this game. So we gotta talk about these puzzles. All right, there are so many puzzles in this game, and when I think about the puzzles in Danger and Deception Island versus the puzzles in this game, I actually, you know, the stark contrast is just incredible. I mean, Danger on Deception Island is game 9 and this one's game 11, and just the jump from 9 to 11, we're getting such a difference in puzzles. There are so many more puzzles that require, I think, another level of thinking. And also too, we've got puzzles where you're getting these little objects that are going to go in these pillars and do all these things, and you get that pretty early on in the game and you have absolutely no idea what that's for. So you've got a lot of like, we're giving you this way earlier on in the game and you're not going to use it until like hours or sometimes days later, like depending on how long you're playing the game. I mean, like, I forgot about that little clock I got out of Jane's pillar rainbow thing. You know what I mean? Like, it just, the puzzles are harder. You know, I think, and you know, talking about puzzles requiring another level of thinking, I think about the turkey. I would have never thought. Well, oh, this carnivorous, this little how do you say it? Carnivorous plant over here is obviously hungry, and the only way I'm gonna get past it is if I order some turkey or Pinky and Perky. that would have the association was just not there for me. I would have never thought. I actually made an Instagram video about this, making a humorous poke about it, but I would have never thought about Nancy picking up some butter off her plate to just put her, you know, I mean, who sits there and eats a Johnny, what is it? Johnny roll? What? I don't know, but a roll, piece of bread. And Nancy's sitting there eating her bread in her room, and she's just chilling, la da 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 da, and she's eating this roll with butter, and she goes, oh my goodness, there's butter. Let me just grab that and stick that in my pocket real quick. I would have never thought of that. Like, to grease up the keyhole for Jane's, I would have never, it wasn't happening. So, I think another level of thinking, for sure. I will say that there's probably a lot of puzzles in this game where, you know, there's just, it creates a lot of time. Like, there were those puzzles where you would get, like, all the way down deep into the manor's passageways, and you'd have to keep coming back up and forth for glow sticks and phone service and Lulu's password words to the pictures, which sometimes the words made sense and sometimes it didn't. Like anthill, okay, that makes sense, but I can't think of another one. What was the other one? Like anthill, no, what was the other one? I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there were a lot of puzzles where time, like, it almost was like they were just really lengthening out the time. And that, to me, I don't find really enjoyable. Like, I didn't find going back and forth so much from the passageway enjoyable. But still, there are so many puzzles that are fun, that are really making you think. I love the 13 ghost puzzles. That's such a really fun puzzle, especially because we're in spooky times, you know, right now. So the 13 ghost hunt, that one's so fun. And the pillars and finding all the objects and all just the little mini puzzles that you have to do, like the box and looking at the shields for the images and the telescope with, you gotta find the piece to look at the wall to get the numbers so you can play the card game lady thing. That's all great. I think really the majority of puzzles overall are an excellent job. I think maybe just maybe where it lacks a little bit is probably just, you know, those times where you just feel like you almost feel exacerbated from having to go back and forth between such long stretches. It almost turns into less fun and more annoying. So those are just, you know, examples of that. And then I think overall we can all agree that the most like memorable puzzle that you think of, like if I just say puzzles in Curse of Blackmoor Manor, the very first thing I feel like some of us will think of are the rooms. Oh my goodness, the rooms, y'all. The rooms in this game that just turn around. I mean, without that green glowing stone map thing that you find in the center of the room, I don't know how I would make it out of there. It reminds me of the rooms that are similar to like Alibi and Ashes, when you have to go through the sewers, and yeah, like it's hard. Like it is so hard, those rooms. And once you get the map, I mean, it helps because at least you know where you're at, which, I mean, don't know how this ancient stone is like a GPS, tells you, it says you are here, you know, and like you can just look at this glowing stone and it'll tell you, it moves with you in real time. Don't know how that works, but yeah, the room it's very difficult, and I think that can also kind of bring, you know, I think it's doable with a map, but without the map that would have just been crazy. That's probably why they included the map. I think once you get the hang of it, you know, you're doing the rooms, but I mean, that takes a lot of plays, I feel like. So, the rooms itself, the moving rooms, it is a great puzzle in essence, in idea. It just gets a little smidge of a mark down because of just how, like rather difficult it can be, and if things are almost too difficult, I feel like it just takes the enjoyable part away just a little bit. So Not hating on it, just a little bit of my mind about it. So other than that, though, the puzzles are fairly amazing. The stair one, that one's fun. That one's just easy one. But I mean, oh, and I love the ordering of the pillars around Jane's room. You're having to it's a slider puzzle, but you're having to figure out what the order is based on a poem. So you're trying to make sure you've got the right words with the right image, and then you got to slide. I love that. So there was a lot of great logic puzzles, and just overall great puzzles. I think there's just a few instances where the puzzles may be just a little bit too hard for enjoyment. So, or that's just me. And of course that differs from player to player, because maybe some people just absolutely love difficult puzzles. And then of course everyone's idea of difficulty differs between everyone. So it's very subjective to everyone, but I'm trying to be the most objective that I can be. But yeah, that's my opinion on the game's puzzles. Overall, still does a pretty excellent job. Alright, so next up we're going to talk about the last thing, is the music. Oh man, I always I just love talking about the game's music, because it's one of the best parts. Without music and movies and video games, it would really feel just empty. I feel like music really, sells whatever the feeling that you're trying to feel is. So with music in Curse of Blackmoor Manor, I can tell you that Danger on Deception Island is my favorite game soundtrack. I know that for a fact. I'm a little biased because it's my favorite game, but I do have an explanation for why Danger on Deception Island is my favorite soundtrack. And I also know for a fact that Curse of Blackmoor Manor is in that top 5. It's in that top 5, maybe top 3. But I think it's because it reminds me a lot of the soundtrack of Danger on Deception Island. What we're getting is, we're getting a lot of what you feel, what you think about the environment and the setting and the tone of where we're at. You're getting that same feeling from the music. So I'm hearing a lot of classical music and classical pieces, which makes sense because that comes from a lot of we're in the UK, so we're getting there's a lot of great artists that come from the classical era of music that come from the UK. So it makes sense that we're hearing that music, the Renaissance, that song that's called that. It just makes sense that we would hear that, because we're talking about several different periods and eras of the UK in this family history. And it all is threaded out so beautifully. The music, there's great eerie music, and there's really great just, I guess, roaming the halls. Like you feel small and you feel tiny in this really big manor, in this big room. I feel that when I listen to some of this game soundtracks. And if the music can make you feel that way, if I can hear it, if I close my eyes and hear this music, I start to feel those feelings just like I did when I first played it. So I think that's exactly what you're supposed to feel from this game, and the music is obviously selling it. It's doing it. It's doing its job. So I just want to take a few seconds. Why don't we listen to some of the music? I'm going to play a couple of my favorite tracks, and I just want to play those, talk about how much I love them, because they're just so good. Okay, right? I mean, it's just so good. I mean, the music, it is just so good. I just cannot get over the feelings that I feel the moment that they come on. I remember, some of the places and the locations, and I just feel like I'm walking down the halls. I'm just walking down the halls. I'm looking at grand portraits, and I'm looking at these marble pillars. I feel that. And then, of course, we must talk about, and I feel like I've mentioned this a lot on Instagram videos before, but Bridget's song. I mean, what a bop, man. What a bop. You've got Sea of Darkness bop, and you've got Curse of Blackmoor Manor bop, and they're both bops, and they're bop. They bop, but they bop, bop, bop. They're so good. And I can't tell you how many times I have sung, and I'm just like, Bridget with her eyes so bright, looks towards heaven at midnight on the long. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuck in my head forever. It will ever always be there. I know the lyrics, know the melody. Like, I know it. So, I mean, I just can't help but think that the music, as most Nancy Drew games do, always excels. So, for Curse of Blackmoor Manor, it obviously gets my highest regard. I love this music so much. Alright everyone, so after reviewing everything about Curse of Blackmoor Manor, here is the final score. And that's it! I mean, I'm not surprised. I kind of expected that to be the score because it's just such a great game. So good. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out my Instagram channel. I have a lot of spooky content planned and I'm so excited about it. So make sure you check out that, and I hopefully will have some more spooky videos to come during spooky season. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you for another video again sometime soon.